Quite often people who have got a bit of a poor relationship with food, they just associate eating more with getting fat. So they worry, and all they know is restriction. All they know is trying not to eat food. So sometimes getting that trust again with your nutrition and getting trust again with your food. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Not a Prep. This is update number 9, and if you just want to go straight to the statistics, go here. For those that did vote on my Instagram, occasionally I'll just throw up a poll whether on a topic of what you want me to discuss. So I had the option of either refeeds or how to start a diet. And it was pretty much 50-50, but how to start a diet just kind of outweighed the other. So basically, whenever me personally are working with a client, they want to lose a little bit of body fat. Firstly, it's just kind of establishing some foundations and looking more closely at like their goal, really. Why do they want to lose body fat? And also the specifics of that goal is how far do they wish to go? And what I'm trying to feel out is whether what they are asking for is going to be realistic. So if I've got somebody who is morbidly obese or overweight and their lifestyle is just in such a way that maybe their goals don't align with that, firstly, we're just going to go, right, let's just try and start losing a bit of weight. And we want to try and make kind of as little change as we can within their diet. So typically people weigh a certain amount just as a byproduct of how many calories they're ingesting. So if organically we can just reduce caloric intake and get these kind of big wins whilst doing barely anything, this is going to be fantastic and going to set them up for long-term weight management also. So these are kind of what we call low-hanging fruit, where we can kind of swap oils for sprays if they are putting oil on their food and salads and things like that, removing or reducing them. Liquid calories, so if they're drinking full fat pop, swapping out that for lower calorie or zero calorie, even better, pop. So these are kind of the big hitters that I just want to kind of look at. And it could be even something, if they enjoy alcohol, opting for more spirits as opposed to lagers and ciders and all of that. All we need to do is just reduce calories. But obviously over time we might get a little bit of weight off. But again, if they hit a plateau, usually it's because they're within energy balance. So after that, we're going to have to maybe start looking at things a little bit closer. What I tend to recommend people is that they start journaling or logging their nutrition. And by this, I mean logging everything and as you go, okay? Do it as you go. So you're not kind of waiting until the end of the day trying to remember everything you've ate and drank. You actually have your meal, write down, could even take a picture of it using MyFitnessPal or good old pen and paper. That's absolutely fine. What we're trying to do is just create a little bit of awareness around our nutrition. We're not actually got any target goals right now. We're not setting you a macronutrient goal or a calorie goal. All we're doing is just creating a little bit of mindfulness. That may come once we actually have some data, and if that data is truly accurate. So what I tend to recommend people is, like, even if you consider it bad, log it, write it down on your bit of paper or in MyFitnessPal. Even if you can't get the exact calories, what we'll be able to do, especially someone like me, if you put like, a Domino's pizza and guesstimate it at 500 calories, we're going to go, listen, really a Domino's pizza is 2,000 calories, because under reporting is rife within the fitness industry. People just are very poor at estimating how many calories are within a certain food. So what I'm trying to do is go, okay, then let's just have an overview of your lifestyle, your nutrition, and also just your general physical activity. How active are you? So we have Fitbits and things like that these days, which are fantastic. So if having access to a pedometer or even on your phone, just being mindful of how many steps you do. A second thing that I may want to look at is, what is your state of mind? Are you already dieted? Whether it is successful or unsuccessful dieting, sometimes that mindset of restriction is often hard, and it's what kind of stops people progressing. So maybe a period of maintenance is a good thing, a period of not trying to lose weight, and a period of eating food and re-establishing a strong foundations to move from. And then obviously you can go within a caloric deficit and probably be a little bit more successful. Could be potentially that you are trying to be overly aggressive and undoing that all at the weekend when, you know, when the stress of the week is down and you get to a Friday night and then you eat one thing, but it typically leads to maybe binge eating or excessive caloric intake, undoing the calorie deficit that you've established during the week. People are very black and white with their nutrition. They're very black and white with everything that they seemingly do. Therefore, it kind of makes sense for them to start operating in this gray area. It's not on or off. Treat it like a kind of a dimmer switch as opposed to a light switch, and we operate in there. Sometimes you might be in a more aggressive deficit, sometimes you might be eating at maintenance. So bearing in mind the big picture. But if people are coming to me and they're already chronically dieted, maybe not just physiologically they are burnt out, but maybe more mentally they are burnt out. So saying to them and giving them permission to eat for a little bit, just to kind of offset this feeling of restriction, can often do them well and fantastic in the long run. I am, as you're going to see in my updates, I am currently on a diet break or a maintenance period. I've been dieting for 8-9 weeks now, and I just felt like I firstly wanted one. I wanted to eat a little bit more food, and this is going to help me from a physiological standpoint. So it's probably going to increase glycogen stores, which is predominantly the energy you use when you're training. So training will get better, but more so beyond that, psychologically, okay, I will feel better. It's always better eating more food, and I'm not going to what maintained me at 88 kilos. No, I'm eating the food that's going to maintain me at 82 kilos. So what maintained me at 88 kilos was probably about 3,300 to 3,500 calories. I've estimated roughly of my current body weight, around 3,100 calories will maintain that. At the end of the day, I've been eating 2,600 calories for X amount of weeks now. So having that additional 500, 600 calories a day, it just feels like, wow, my God, I can eat all this food, and that is great for maintenance. Quite often people who have got a bit of a poor relationship with food, they just associate eating more with getting fat. So they worry, and all they know is restriction. All they know is trying not to eat food. So sometimes getting that trust again with your nutrition and getting trust again with your food, and being able to back away from tracking and trusting yourself without the calorie apps and all of these things and Fitbits. This is why I'm a huge believer that habits and behaviors are ultimately what going to keep you in a healthy body weight. So yes, I might still be tracking, but it won't be as meticulous. I've got a few things coming up this week. We're going away for a couple of days, so the structure and skeleton of my diet's still going to be the same. We don't use a diet break as an opportunity to kind of cheat or break the diet. It's actually a poor name. It should be just a maintenance period. So just a diet maintenance period, eating at maintenance for a period of time. For me, it might be 1 week, but if I fancy it, if I want to, 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there back into the deficit when I'm feeling a little bit more undieted. So yeah, how frequent you do these are up to you, and obviously there potentially will be a little bit of weight gain as I restore muscle glycogen, as I hold a little bit water with that glycogen as I have more food in my digestive system. But when I re-enter that deficit and remove those foods, typically that will dissipate and come back down. And that's why typically people in the early phases of dieting see a bit of a bigger weight drop early on, and then a more slow, gradual trend onward. Anyway, I hope that helps. If you do have any questions, please feel free to fire away. We're going to go straight onto the sheets. There's my little boy in the background as usual. Hope you're enjoying the series, and I will speak soon. Hey guys, so welcome to another update on the sheets here. So what I'm going to firstly walk you through is this week I've decided I'm going to have a diet break or a maintenance block. I don't know whether it's just going to be a week or two. I have not decided. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through what maintenance is going to look like. So I've gone to my plan ahead section on my sheets. All right, this is my current body weight, roughly around 82 kilos. They're all my details. Not a lot's changed. My physical activity levels are still high. They were high. So everything's the same here apart from that weight. So where that previous said like 88, 89 kilos, it now says 82. The percent of deficit that I'm going for is 0. My protein is 2.2, but I'm just going to increase it to like a 2.3. Maybe even a 2.4. I like me protein, so around 200 grams is where I'm aiming for. So I've put that in there. My total calories that I'm aiming for is going to be around 3,100. So if we take a look at this, I have my protein. My average carbs is going to be 420 grams a day. My average fat is going to be 70 grams per day. If just I change this to 88, you're going to see that roughly maintenance is 3,250 calories. So obviously I want to be eating what maintains an 82 kilo me. So when people talk about maintenance, you don't go back to your old maintenance because that's what maintained your old weight. Okay, you're a new weight now. So if you are dieting from significant amounts of body fatness, it requires less calories for you to carry that individual about. That's why I'm wearing this weight vest, to kind of offset the need to reduce calories when eventually I plateau or the deficit becomes smaller or I re-establish a new maintenance. So if we're looking at my weekly view, so what I like to do is every time I have a maintenance block and re-enter a deficit, I just reshuffle these. All right. So Monday to Sunday, 200 grams of protein is pretty much a standard. I tend to kind of keep my fats and protein the same. It's carbohydrates that are the most kind of variable source, macronutrient source. That's my son kicking off. And you can see what it looks like across the week. Looking back at last week, so I was an average of 0.2 down and, having the stag do. And what I'm finding anyway is these sorts of things. I might have like a big week and then a smaller week, but my rates of loss I'm quite happy with. This week, today, I had a huge salad last night, lots of fiber, but I only ate less than 2,000 calories. I thought I might go a bit aggressive on that Sunday since I'm going into a maintenance block. It's kind of like, well, I'll do that. So I'll justify that low calorie day with that. But yeah, progress is pretty much hit matched my low of last week of 81.9 and then a couple of higher carb days, put that back up again. So yeah, you can see that I was hitting over 3,000 calories on those days. Steps wise, everything's pretty much normal around that 20,000 mark. Ben was in our bed on that night and kept kicking us and woke us up. It wasn't great. Had to sleep in the spare room because he was poorly, projectile vomit all over his bedroom, the poor little boy. So he had to sleep in our room. So I was in the spare room, but he's all right. So yeah, as I said, going into next week, it's okay, mate. We're nearly there. Do you want to come say hello? Oh, you want upstairs? Doesn't want to say hello. Yeah, so going into next week, it's a maintenance week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the weight. Typically, I expect it to go up, as I mentioned, with glycogen storage, but if it comes down just through reduced stress and all of that sort of stuff, it's good. Any questions, fire away, and I will speak to you shortly.